This is a video that I wanted to make for a while, but there's a lot of unanswered questions to this topic. Why are big movies all of a sudden flopping these days? Why is new movies not really making the box office projections that it should do, or making at least somehow a profit, and they're just losing money? So what is really going on? Now, I've kind of wanted to make this point of a discussion because I went and watched the new Mission Impossible movie, and after coming out back from the cinema, I pretty much always had the same feeling of newer movies these days that I will kind of give my opinion to, but I also think there's also a perspective of how other people feel. So, yeah, I'm going to really be very short and honest. This year for new movies have been terrible financially. There's no question about it. A lot of new movies have not been making any money, or just somehow not been making the return of becoming profitable. So a lot of movies, for example, this year have flopped badly. Are movies like The Flash, when people were projecting how great it was and how amazing it was, which yeah, it was a good film, but it was certainly no spectacular movie that is getting everyone hyped about. And that movie has just somehow flopped massively. You also have movies like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which was a huge budget of a film, and it's really looking likely that that movie is not even projected to make any sort of return at all or anything. I think that's going to be another big flop as well, considering the budget. And also, you have movies that have really failed to make a cash grab remake, such as The Little Mermaid. They thought they could use a title like that to kind of get a lot of the people back into the franchise for newer audiences. But unfortunately, that hasn't made a return itself, because I think there is an issue. I think with a lot of new movies, and I don't know whether just new movies are just bad, or is it just maybe people's perception of cinema has now all of a sudden changed. Now, the first question I want to ask is: are new movies just getting worse? Are the quality of new movies are just becoming worse, and people don't care about it? My answer to that is probably not. I don't think the quality of movies are getting worse, but it's more or less the issue that movies are not original, which I think for certain people that has an aspect of the quality of the film in a sense. But I think the real problem is that because movies are becoming less original, or new movies that have been coming out that are just supposed to be sequels or supposed to be another franchise to add to another universe. I think more or less people have seen these movies before, they've been there and done it. That I don't think is really going to get people to go to the cinema, or really just somehow think that they're going to get a new experience watching a new movie. So I think for a lot of people, they would just somehow just not bother to turn up to the cinema, or potentially they would just sort of wait for a more convenient time if it came on sort of a movie coming out on a streaming platform, so they could just watch it in the comfort of their own home. And I think that's another aspect that is a bigger problem. I think going to the cinema now for a lot of people has become, well, inconvenient. And I don't think for newer movies it is helped as well, because nowadays when we watch new movies now, we are left with 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes. It wouldn't be surprised one day we will get into 3 hours territory where we have movies now, and those sort of run times really does not bear convenience for a lot of people. Even today I watched the new Mission Impossible movie. That was a near 2 hour 40 minute movie. I literally started watching that movie during middle of the day, and it was already getting to the point where it was the evening when it somehow all finished. It's crazy. It does take a lot of people's time, and I don't think for a lot of people nowadays going to the movie to take up all that time to watch something that they may have seen there and done it before is going to get them back into it. So I think those are a sort of an issue that I have with newer movies now, that they are less original and they are becoming a bit longer to watch to pad for more time. That is becoming a massive inconvenience for people. Now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, going to the cinema, there are not original movies coming out. I've seen a few original movies that have been released in the cinema, such as Megan, Cocaine Bear, Air, and what was the other one? Asteroid City. Potentially, I'm also going to look at watching Oppenheimer when that comes out. So I do like original ideas. I want more original ideas to be more coming to the table for at Hollywood to actually to experience something new to watch. I think the problem is now is that when we look at, you know, movies now with a bigger budget, they would use a big franchise name that will get more people to watch. And I think that's the problem. Now, and the only reason why I would assume they would use a big franchise name for a big budget is because it's, well, assumably less risk, so they would like to keep it safe. So it will get more people that they will see the title of the movie, and it will get people watching it and buying the tickets to sort of enjoy. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be enjoyable, but that's kind of what most of the people on top would do when making movies, because if you have a big media franchise name, you can obviously have a bigger budget to play around with, and it would somehow, they would try and assume to make that return. When you kind of go for an original idea with a bigger budget, it just wouldn't work because it's a new idea, new IP, and they wouldn't know how, people will feel about watching a new idea that's coming to Hollywood or coming to the cinema. So that's kind of where I think the issue lies. So, and look, I would advocate for more original ideas coming to the cinema, but I also would say there's nothing wrong with people liking big media franchises. I like them too. I think ages ago people were making the point that the problem with cinema now is that we have lots of superhero movies, superhero content, and all those stuff. I don't think that was the issue. The issue is now that there's so many franchises now that will make sequels or make movies that are so maybe a carbon copy or so derivative of other types of movies before from other franchises that you're not necessarily getting a good experience or a new experience watching. So again, like for a lot of people, they will just ignore it. They'll probably just wait for a more convenient time to watch it on a streaming platform instead. And that's kind of where people's views or perceptions are going nowadays when it comes to watching newer movies in the cinema. But also going to the cinema isn't also just a time issue, it's also a cost issue. Now, let's be honest, going to the cinema is not cheap. It's pretty expensive. Getting a ticket, I think for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I think the ticket prices was £11 to £12. That's very expensive. So, most people will look at that and think, I can't really, use that time to go to the cinema. I could just easily wait, coming out on a streaming platform and pay for my subscription to watch it instead. And assumingly, that's what people would naturally do. So most people wouldn't really have the urge to go immediately. But also, like, the cost of cinema now is really just so expensive now, not just for tickets but also the food. I think sometimes getting popcorn is about £7, which is so ridiculous. Like, every single time I've been to the cinema, I would never ever typically buy anything from the cinema. I would literally just go to a shop or convenience store instead and just buy buy the stuff there and just get to the cinema with all my food already or snacks that I bought outside, because it's just too expensive. So most people wouldn't really just go to the cinema because obviously not just being inconvenient, but it's also expensive to go. And I also want to emphasize the point as well on people's changing views of the cinema. This has been a very occurring thing for a lot of movies I've been watching. I think very few movies, I think the Super Mario Brothers movie and Across the Spider-Verse, I would arguably say the screening I went to was actually, full of people when it was busy. But this is kind of the bleak reality of cinema now. And I'm going to show you a photo I just took when I was watching the new Mission Impossible movie. This was literally the photo that was taken literally right at near where the point the film was literally about to start. And yeah, you can literally just see from the photo it's very empty. And it's been like this for so many movies. It's been like that when I went to see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's been like that when I was watching The Flash. And it's also been like that for every other movie. Even Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it was even like that. And even that movie was successful. So it just shows that a lot of the time, the movies now, I don't think many people are really sort of putting their time to really go to the cinema. And it just kind of shows the feeling of the mood that people have watching unoriginal ideas, or they just watch a big franchise or a sequel all the time. It's always just a case, yep, I've seen it before, not really getting much of an experience out of it, so I'll just pass it off and just wait to come out at a more convenient time, because people are too busy nowadays. They probably would have work, they probably have jobs, they probably have people to look after, and I think the cinema is just not convenient really. And if you're probably taking a family, it wouldn't be good, for you financially either, because heck, it's too expensive, and you're not really getting much of a good quality film coming out to the cinema now. So I think that's kind of where I would really sort of lie the issue is with big movies, why they're probably not performing well, why they're losing lots of money, they're not making really a profit. I mean, there are some successful movies that have made profits, like the Super Mario Brothers movie or Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They've been successful. So maybe potentially it could be just a quality fill for certain films that that could be doing well, or maybe it's just maybe people's views of cinema have just changed all around. But yeah, that's kind of about it. Let me know what you guys think about why big movies are flopping these days and not performing well. Do you enjoy going to cinema or not, or is it just you're kind of bored of big media franchises? I really want to know. And yeah, that's about it. See you later.